see on the screens no ye chirema na chese na no ada e na beto dwa say ye mampani e chirema na say eye illegal immigrants a wo kopie mu US a ye de wo mo e kwa mo man mu back no unim say they be going through process ni ade ade e na beto dwa say ye mampani say wate ase ama Donald Trump say onfa wo mu duduo kakra nya den emegu oman yi mu na eno enene ye tete se ensem bi aba ho ama nhwene ya na tese Ghana aban so ehu akwa akodi mu Chris enei ede ena ekoso
yes my migrants are deportee or my free crew bi so no enkenye bone so because say wuti krom na say o papers nsheda nye papa I mean if you show me na you say now say back to your home country. Now said you from last week no Ghana you receive 14 of these migrants are free US.
Okay.
14 of these deportees are free US Ghana Ajiomo and they made arrangements for some of these people to travel back to their countries. Some also are still here. They had 90 days. Now this is what we have on our screens. Lawsuit says US held West African migrants in straight jackets for 16 hours on flight to Ghana. And straight jackets, some of these jackets here, they show it restricts you of movement. So you don't have any, I mean, you are restricted to a certain position.
That's why it's stiff.
So you don't get access. So you play any funny movements, just to avoid whatever that is being taking place. And they also cited the fact hours into the flight, they didn't even know what was happening. Yes, they didn't know what was happening until some hours into the flight. Now they were being deported. And let's read what is on our screens.
Okay.
So some West Africans who were deported from the US to Ghana were held in straitjackets for 16 hours on a flight, during which all passengers were shackled and given only bread and water, according to a lawsuit that is filed on Friday. So yes, lawsuit now it is talking about the fact that they were just held in straitjackets for 16 good hours. And Sana and they just gave them bread and water for that 16 hours. Even prior to that, prior to that, just the bread and water is not a good thing for a deportees and free United States ever.
Okay.
The lawsuit filed in federal court in Washington on behalf of 5 migrants says passengers were awoken in the middle of the night on September 5th and not told where they were going until hours into the flight on a US military cargo plane. It also goes ahead and states that on September 5th, somewhere in the night they just woke them up. They don't know, and they were put on a military cargo plane hours into the flight. And Sana, they were, told to say, this is what is really happening. And 5 of them, and this lawsuits number, it has been filed, and this is what it entails. The migrants have been detained for 5 days in Ghana in squalid conditions and surrounded by armed military guards in an open-air detention facility called Dema Camp. The complaint says conditions are abysmal and deplorable, with tents for shelter and little running water. And how are you feeling? They've not been given that kind of treat, say a diving, because some of these people, you don't have to get them loose in Ghana. You have to make sure that they go back to their home country. And this is the states where they find themselves in, that they have an open air detention. It's not like they are enclosed somewhere. Maybe it's just a tent.
Okay.
And they clarify and as a classify this condition as abysmal and deplorable. I will use tents as shelter. And so the migrants are not from Ghana and have been told they will be sent to other countries that have been determined to be too dangerous by U.S. immigration judges, making it the latest legal challenge to the Trump administration's practice of sending people to countries other than their own, including El Salvador, Panama, Costa Rica, and several African countries. So these are some of the countries that you do and it is a challenge to the Trump administration because most of the countries they are not allowing do you understand? And you put baby near the more and sana you will be transferred back into your countries. Defendants have enlisted the government of Ghana to do their dirty work. It says despite the minimal pass through involvement of the Ghanaian government, defendants' objective is clear. Deport individuals who have been granted fear-based relief. Yes, the complaint filed by a lawyer from Asian Americans Advancing Justice asked a judge to immediately halt deportations to their countries of origin. And yes, I mean, defendants have enlisted the government of Ghana to do their dirty work. I mean, say, US no, most countries are against it.
Okay.
And Oma enlisted Ghana, and yes, most countries didn't agree. Say and say Ghana is agreeing to all the dirty works that the US current administration is doing.
Okay.
This is what people are say it is a bad thing because I didn't say no. Don't want any home. So won't me find the panel and come back to another country. If they are not accepting them, then you might as well just leave them there. But so some of these countries who are agreeing to allowing these migrants to come, I mean, do you understand? So this is, I mean, what is going on? And Magana, so you echo for a yes, and send we. So, defendants' objective is clear. Deport individuals who have been granted fear-based relief from being sent to their countries of origin, to those countries anyway, in contravention to the rulings of the U.S. immigration judges and U.S. immigration laws. So, what me find the court on one side the home country? It will be best say I mean U.S. home.
Let's say the decision Donald Trump took in the first place, or to say it was a wrong decision.
Oh yes, I mean it was a wrong decision because you don't know how they will be treated in other home countries. Look at how they are being treated, and it is sending signals out there. Do you understand? It is sending signals out there. Say we brought them here, and look at the kind of treatment we have. I mean, now on the very last part. The lawsuit was filed a day after Ghana's president confirmed the arrival of the 14 deportees. Ghana joined Eswatini, Rwanda, and South Sudan as African countries that have received migrants from third countries who were deported from the U.S., an approach whose legality has been questioned by lawyers and human rights organizations. So yes, right after the day President held a media personalities that were a Flagstaff House. The next day, in a lawsuit, I mean, it is trying to put all of us, I mean, some of those countries, including Ghana, in human rights or more red lists. So some of these countries are agreeing to some moves via the current President Trump, the administration, and yet it's not a good thing. The human rights is speaking against it. Ghana is one way or the other agreeing to it, because in the first place it goes against it is not legal.
Okay.
Do you understand? And see, then all of a sudden we are also agreeing to this deportation law.
Okay, but where do you think say lawsuit will be lead to? Do you think it will really have a positive feedback and also a negative feedback?
Well, it is putting Ghana on the red list of some of these human rights activists because some of Ghana say the action is not something that they are, I mean, agreeing to. Do you understand? All of a sudden, Ghana is agreeing to, receiving some of these deportees other than their own home country. And Kenya Bonio, some of you are Omangasa Chrome. What prevents you from waiting till their home countries agree someone for Mombra? Do you understand? And so you don't just take people to other. You see what our president cited, say, obedi West Africans, because some of they travel in between countries without visas. And see that is his basis. And there are some other people who are even talking about the fact that some of these things, it was a parliament gratitude. And in Ghana, some people feel there's some irregularities even before, because all of a sudden, out of the blue, the president is telling us, 14 phobia. People were citing a Gitmo 2, Guantanamo Bay phobia that they came some other time. The same thing, it was President Mahama. The same deportees as our baby. So, human rights, and they are not happy with the fact that you don't take them to their home country. So, any other country who agree to it's not a good thing for you as a country.
They say, Swatini, other countries in so deportees. Is it Ghana and Kwani facing this particular issue with handling this deportees?
Oh, there are so many other African countries, but I can state say Nigeria didn't agree to it.
Okay.
Most of them are Nigerians. Do you understand? There is one country. They took over 200 people there.
Wow.
One country, they took over 200 people there. In the Ghana, but you see, said Ghana, people always look out for, there should be rights to information. Or saying, you are aware of, this is what is really going to happen, or this is what is happening. So we will be aware. And I say, if people are there to speak against it, because we also have some of these human rights activists, they can also start talking about it. Do you understand? And yes, there are so many other countries who are agreeing to it. Most of these deportees, now we are lucky. Our president was able to bargain to the fact that he wants only West Africans. And West Africans nearby, but the other countries we take Africans there. Do you understand? They are even out of this continent, Africa, and we take them there before but some are inside America and some other countries. So it's not just only Ghana, but the flights to Ghana and no one some and Abusive the lawsuit Abusive. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much for giving us more details about this issue. Moving on, then we are moving on to Ivory Coast, and as it stands now, we are hearing Detention Simbi from Ivory Coast as it stands now, and what we could say,